The things that people say on social media, the things that people say. Well, I want y'all to take a listen to what this young lady had to say about about men divorcing these modern day women, and also about um men, preferably these beta men, unaliving the modern day woman. All right, so I just want y'all to listen to her and give you my perspective after this.
Over the past week, there has been an alarming amount of new stories coming out about men unaliving their girlfriends, spouses, or children. And unfortunately, but not surprisingly, men have decided to give their opinion on the situation. A common response by men circling this topic is that, well, if the courts didn't screw over men financially after divorce, then they wouldn't have to resort to this. Because the most common reason they do this is because their wives are trying to leave. But this is why women are not only begging men to go to therapy, but to find personalities outside of providing and protecting. Because the minute y'all can't provide is when you fail to protect. Another consistent and more insidious comment is that those women probably did something to deserve it, like cheat or stress him out. But do you guys have any idea how quickly the male unaliving rate would rise if women were offing men for the same reason? At this point, I just wish y'all would say what you really want to say, and that is, you would much rather your families than sit in the temporary embarrassment of a divorce. As a woman, it's okay if you want to live a traditional life with a traditional husband, but just know that if your husband is failing in his role, your life is now at risk. Please protect yourselves. Over the past
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. All right. Now she brought up some interesting points that I want to make as well too. Her first point that she brought up, she was saying that um the reason why the men want to unalive their wives and stuff, right, is because when they go through the court systems, right, um basically when they go through the court system doesn't favor them. All right. Now, this situation is actually true because according to the family law, and this is just about all over the nation, family court systems rarely favor the male in divorce proceedings. They rarely favor the male at all in divorce proceedings, and this is true. This is factual true, and the statistics prove this as well too. This is the reason why women are more obligated to file for divorce quicker than men, because the women, especially modern day women, they had learned that they have a greater chance of not only getting the divorce finalized, but also have a greater chance to receiving some type of one incentive for the divorce. Meaning that when they go into mediation, they could throw all these demands out there. They could say that, well, I want this dude to pay child support. I want this dude to be on alimony, depending on the state that has alimony. I want to take the house. I want to take the car. So I want to do all these different things and stuff, right? And now it is a very high probable chance that the courts will grant that in favor of the woman. And the number one reason why they'll grant that in favor because the woman is because they automatically assume that the woman is going to be the custodial parent of children. Now the situation is different if they was just married and they were married and they didn't have any children. But when they have children, the one courts, especially according to the Office of Attorney General, as well too, they always favor the woman as well, especially when they have children. So that is the reason why a lot of men, when they go through divorce, they feel the way that they do, is because they've been through that situation, and the situation is already stressful as is going through that. They going through the whole stressful situation of 9 times out of 10, the first step for a woman to go through a divorce case is that they have to prove to the court that they are actually the ones who the victim in the situation. The quickest way that a woman do that is that they'll file what is known as a temporary restraining order on that man. And the reason why they do that is because they want that man off the premises. Now, by law, a woman cannot remove a man from his homestead. by law. But the only exception to that rule, if they could prove that it's on domestic violence situations that been occurring in the household. So what women would do, they would these type of women would create a situation to where it appears that it's domestic violence by filing a temporary restraining order on that man. And so after when they filed a temporary restraining order, the man ended up being removed from his household, and they go through the whole divorce proceedings, and they end up hiring an attorney to do this and stuff, right? And after when they hire that attorney to do that, this attorney, of course, he or she gonna want their fees, so they're going to try to get as much possible out of this situation. So the attorneys will encourage the woman to go after every possible thing that you could get, whether it's money assets, whether it's through that dude 401k account, whether it's through his pensions, whether it's through anything possible that's considered as an asset, they will go through that. There's another one thing that is known as community property in law. All right. According to community property in law, right? Community property is when both the man and the woman have earned any type of access within a marriage. So they could consider it as community property. So therefore, since it's considered as community property, they could either go 50-50 on it, 80-20, or wherever the case may be in that situation. So the first part, this is the reason why that men feel the way that they feel about going through the divorce process. All right, that's the first part. Now the other part of this where she was up here saying that the one man they don't want to go through the embarrassments of being divorced. It don't have nothing to do with being going through embarrassments of being divorced because once again, according to the statistics, right, women file for divorce quicker than men. Meaning that should let you know that men are the one who are actual will fight for the relationship quicker than a woman would. But the only time a woman will fight for a relationship, but the one time a woman will fight for a relationship, it had to be on her terms. Meaning that she'll do the basic things to try to preserve the relationship. Like for example, she'll request having couples counseling. But the one thing about couple counseling and couple therapy is that 9 times out of 10, through statistics, 9 times out of 10, that therapist, or they may either go through a spiritual leader like they pastor or whatever, but 9 times out of 10 that person is going to favor the woman no matter what, no matter what they do say, no matter how the way to do articulate himself and display his grievances about her performance in relationship. 9 times out of 10 that therapist that um or that spiritual leader or that pastor is going to go for the woman. This is the reason why, ladies, why men really don't like to go through therapy. And I'm just being honest with you. That's the reason why men don't like to go to therapy, and that's why they don't like to go to couples therapy, because they don't see it never turns out where it's neutral for both parties. It always favors the woman. The woman go in there and be emotional in a section, and don't let the one therapist be a woman. It's even worse when the therapist either be a woman or that the therapist actually be another beta male who's hypersensitive. You know what I'm saying? So when they enter into that atmosphere, that's why I'm saying it don't never end well for men. That's the reason why they don't go to one counselor at all. Period. Because when they went through it, it wasn't beneficial. It didn't help the situation. All right. Now now they're like I say those four part of the embarrassment and stuff like that. Like I say, it don't have nothing to do with a man being embarrassed, because when it comes down to relationships, right, that man will put aside his pride and ego, because every man had been taught, well, not beta men, but every man have been taught this, is that there's always plenty of fish in the sea. If this one don't work out, let it go. That's why it's so easier for men to detach themselves from women that they was previously in a relationship with. And I'm talking about real men. I'm not talking about the beta men who are all hypersensitive, but I'm talking about real actual men. That's why it's easier for them to sever that relationship and move on and find somebody else like within months or whatever. It was because they've been taught that simple concept that hey, there are plenty of fish in the sea. You just messed up and found the wrong woman. In that, get you a new woman. But the unfortunate part about that is that women know that concept as well too, and guess what they do? They'll literally sit up here and do their best to try to trigger that man and make that man life a living hell because they know that that man has severed that relationship, but they're still emotionally attached to it. So therefore, they'll do everything possible to make everything miserable with that man, including going through the whole divorce proceedings as well too. Asking for unrealistic things that is not going to help benefit both parties, but it's only triggered to benefit only her. And she'll ask for certain things that she knows is going to piss that dude off. She'll do it purposely. So just like I say, I don't condone domestic violence. I don't condone men unaliving women in this situation. In fact, the only type of men that I know that do things like this is beta male simps or beta males. They're the one type of men that I know that do that. But the actual men, they're not gonna do nothing like that. And so I don't condone it at all. I don't condone any type of domestic violence. I don't condone any type of one man who was sit up here literally unalive not only that woman but his seeds as well too, because he done went through this situation that he's under high level of stress and he went through this situation. But however, I'm just explaining to y'all the why behind it. I don't agree with it, but I'm explaining to you the why behind it. And let's take accountability for this as well too. Both women and men. Let's take accountability for that. Like I always say on my podcast, I say this all the time. All the time. The accountability part is that y'all need to vet out your relationships. That's where it boils down to. Y'all knew that when you got with that man that dude was a beta male. You knew that, but you decided to take a chance on that. You knew, man, that woman that you done hook up with was a modern day woman, and she was just doing only the bare minimum things for performing as a woman that you desired. You knew that, but in your mind, in both of y'all mind, a matter of fact, in both of y'all mind, y'all believe that y'all can change each other. That's where it boils down to. That y'all honestly believe that y'all can separate and change each other, and it may have kind of work for a moment. That's why these type of relationships it only lasts for a season because it's only so far that a human can go through the conditioning of trying to change for a person or trying to cater to this person, especially when they start realizing that they still not getting nothing in return. Or it becomes a situation where it becomes more of a control situation than a respect situation. So it's only so far a human can go to deal with that until they finally crack. And these are how the way these relationships are. These modern day men who can know with these modern day women, and both parties want to play the victim role, knowing good and well that they contribute to the destruction of their relationship based on their mentality, based on them not growing the hell up and maturing in their relationship. Or furthermore, maturing within themselves first prior before entering into a relationship. Now, one last thing too about this lady right here. This lady right here, she does once again. My modern day woman census is going off the roof with her because I could tell by how the way she's presented this, even though she's articulating herself very well. I can tell without a shadow of doubt that she's a modern day woman and she resembles modern day woman behavior. I could tell just by how the way she just presented it. Because at the end of the day, she's presenting the situation as though as the woman is the victim um, instead of the problem, when that is not true. And normally in divorce situations, it is not a one sided situation. It's normally both parties, both the man and the woman. Wherever case may be, wherever caused the divorce to happen, I always say two-sided situation. Somebody did something, or both of them that did something to each other to cause the relationship to get to how the way it is. That's where it boils down to. And that's where people need to learn to stop playing the victim role and start taking accountability for their choices, decisions that they done made, and take accountability. Stop playing the victim. Because if we continue to do this, we're gonna continue to have, modern day woman TikTokers like this up on her saying some stuff that she really don't mean. And to be honest with you, I could guarantee that this woman is not married. I guarantee that she's not married. I can just tell she's not married. Because when you've been married before, you would have a whole different perspective about situation, about marriage situations, especially divorces. If you've been married before and you have went through the process of being divorced, you'll have a whole different perspective. So this does mean just hearing her out. I believe that she either had like a homegirl or a homegirl or whatever that went through this and she just repeated the situation that happened with her homegirl. Or it maybe happened with her parents. Something hell, I don't know. But I know she haven't experienced that. So that's my one take on this. We just gotta continue to want to do better, y'all. So I like to see.